And gentlemen, JP Alexander for the Rabid Dogs Unleashed. It is Thursday, uh, November 18th, 2021. And today I'm going to be talking about the movie The Warriors. Does anybody remember that movie? Uh, Warriors was released February 1979, which means it was probably filmed in the summer of 1978. I saw this film when it was maybe 1 or 2 years old, probably in 1980, 81, around that time, I guess. It came out in movie theaters. I didn't see it in the movie theaters. I don't believe I did. It was an R rating, and I know I wasn't of age. In 1979, I was probably, February 1979, I was 13, so I definitely didn't see it in movie theater. I probably saw it on Showtime, on the Showtime box, with all the channels you go around, whatever it was. Yeah, that probably was when I first saw it at my my house growing up, and I probably watched it many times. I remember seeing it many times. It was probably on, you know, many times. Like that thing is they have like the Showtime the monthly guide, I guess, and it says, and it probably I remember the guide for 1 month had the Warriors on the cover, and I was like, that looks so cool. Just everybody, all the gang members. When you're a kid, probably 14, 15, that's a big deal. I mean, that's really cool. So I remember seeing the Warriors for the first time. I was like blown away. I was like, this movie is great. I thought New York City was, like that. And of course, New York City was never. I mean, in the '70s was worse than it is now. Obviously, it's nothing like it was in the 1970s, but it was never that bad with gangs. But what I always think about the movie is I like to think about it. Even back then, I thought it was like an alternate universe, kind of like a John Wick. Like John Wick, it's not real life. Like when you look at John Wick, it's like how is everybody a hitman? Everybody knows about all these underground activities. Everybody's part of this this world, and I say no, it's an alternate universe. It's kind of like the Warriors. If you think about it as reality, you're going to be a little disappointed because you're going to bring up, oh, gangs were never like that. No, gangs didn't. Every time they in the movie, every time they got off the subway, there was gangs waiting for them. It was just they have to fight their way through gangs, and it's a cool setup and cool to put it like that in a movie, but that's not the way it was in real life. But this movie's nothing like real life. Okay, so this movie came out and I saw it and I loved it, and a lot of people at the time I think the movie was banned for a little while because it was so violent and it caused violence, and I guess I can understand that. I could because it's extremely you know, and the pain being in gangs. I mean, some scenes in the movie were pretty fucking cool. And yeah, if you see that as a kid, you're like, yeah. I mean, of course, I didn't have the toughness and no, everybody I hang around with, we weren't like, me and my friends like to think we were a gang, but we're not really. At 14, 15 years old, we're not going to take over, Long Island and beat our way through. But it's just kind of good, funny to think somebody possibly could. So the plot of the movie is these 9 members, and I guess they're leading on. There's supposed to be more members of the Warriors. There probably was more members. So anyway, all the gangs in New York City are invited to go to the Bronx for a meeting in this park that this guy Cyrus is leading. Cyrus is the leader of this big gang, and he has a dream of all the gangs getting together, and there won't be all separate gangs. There'll be one big gang, and they'll take over New York City. Now, of course, even back then, well, when I heard it back then, I thought it was probably pretty cool. But thinking about it, you have to say, okay, great. As soon as you take over the city, then what? Then the National Guard is going to get involved. Then the Army probably will get involved, and you're not going to be able to take them. I don't care how many gang members you have. Uh, and then what happens even then? Even if you have the city, kind of like a la what Bane did in Batman, Nolan's third Batman. What's going to happen then? How are you going to have distribution of goods into the city? How long will it take before the masses get pissed? And if they revolt, there's a hell of a lot more masses than, you know, 80,000 members. New York City, there's 8 million people. Do you imagine, you know, you have 80,000 gang members against the rest of the city against you? You never be able. I mean, just sheer numbers alone, you won't be able to, you know, beat them. It's just stupid. But the movie's pure fantasy, of course. So anyway, he's talking about how we're gonna, you know, we're gonna take over the city and blah blah blah. And who cares? It's just pretty much bullshit what he's talking about. But that's really not the gist of the movie. Then this other guy, the great David Patrick Kelly, who's fantastic in almost everything he's in, plays this psychopath leader of this other gang, and he kills Cyrus, but he blames it on the Warriors, and for some reason they believe him. The Warriors did it. You saw it. The Warriors did it, and then you know the Warriors, of course, one of the guys gets killed by the head gang, and then the rest of the Warriors, all 8 of them, escape, and then they're like, oh, we gotta, you know, they meet in a cemetery and they say, hey, we gotta fight our way back because I guess the truce is off. There was a truce as long as this meeting was happening, and now there's no truce, so gangs could just kill each other. So there'd just be gangs in the streets trying to kill everybody. You know, it's craziness. But little do the Warriors know that the head gang has put a bounty on the head of the Warriors because the Warriors killed Cyrus. But the Warriors didn't kill Cyrus. And I don't think the Warriors even know that, you know, because the person in the Warriors who did know that they think they killed Cyrus is dead because they killed him. Cleon, he was the leader of that. So with him dead, the leader falls to Swan, which is played by Michael Beck, who you probably remember from Xanadu and nothing else. Unfortunately, he was in Xanadu, and he went from being tough guy Swan to in a song and dance movie, and you never saw him again. Unfortunately, he couldn't survive the mess that was Xanadu, and now he has been in very little, except we remember him from this. And other cast members, James, what's his name? James Remar, who was in 48 Hours. He was in Drugstore Cowboy. He played the cop. He was in a few other movies. He's a great actor. I love him. He always plays either a bad guy or a cop, and he's got that kind of look to him, you know. As a few other people in this movie who I've seen in other films, but a lot of them are unknowns, and this is really all they did, and they didn't really, you know, get big after that. Nobody really got it, except James Remar got the biggest, and he didn't even get that big. And there's one guy in this movie, Cowboy, who I heard never acted again. So where are they now? I don't really know who that guy is. And one of the guys died of AIDS in 1986. So out of the 9, 8 is still around. One has never acted anything again. I don't think he's not even on the map. He's living off the grid somewhere. And then out of the 7 that are left, 6 actually do Comic-Con. It's kind of, I didn't know after I saw this movie a few weeks ago, I saw it again, like it's showing up on Netflix, and I wondered why. And why is because there was just a Comic-Con event with the Warriors. And it's, I didn't know the Warriors still became such a cult classic that everybody is going to these Comic-Con events where they're seeing the members of the film still actually going on tour with each other and signing autographs. And I would love to go to one of those. Yeah, I would love to go to one of those. And I think this is a great movie to do that with. I always thought this movie was really good, and I was always upset they didn't make, like, let's say, a sequel to it, or really hyped it up more. But now I see that I was wrong. There's a sub universe out there or something that actually praises this film, and they go on. They do Comic-Con all the time, and the guys who are in the movie actually get along. They're friends with each other, they email each other, and they actually still talk, a lot of them, and I'm amazed. I would have never thought that. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad, and I would love to see. You know, they said they do an event in Coney Island every year, which I would love to go to. You know, the Warriors are supposed to be from Coney Island in the movie. They had to fight their way from the Bronx. They had to bop. It's called bopping. They had to bop. I guess that's fighting. Bopping their way from from the Bronx all the way down to 27 miles. I guess was it 57 miles? I don't know. I don't think it's that many miles in real life. I don't 30 miles. I don't know how many exactly from Staten Island to Coney Island. Staten Island, no, Staten Island, Coney Island's not that. No, the Bronx to Coney Island. Excuse me. They have to fight their way all the way down through Manhattan. And in this movie, Manhattan's nothing. I mean, all they could do is go to Times Square and hang out there and blend into the crowd and maybe take off their colors, but they're too cool to do that. I'm not really explaining the movie very well, but I don't think that's even the point of what I'm trying to make here. If that, I'm so shocked about that. It's become a cult, a classic without me really knowing about it, and it's become taken on a life of its own. And these guys from the movie are still going, and it's good to see them all hanging out together. I saw a recent Comic-Con from this year, from only a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, that had 6 of the 9, well, 6 of the 8 who are still alive. And, you know, one guy, I never see him do events, and one guy, he never acted again. So I don't think he even knows things are going on. But the rest of them are looking good. They're all looking, and they were funny, and just hearing them talk about the movie is great. Hearing them, how they were all young at the time, and they were all kind of green to the movie business, and how they had to, you know, learn all stuff. And a lot of people in the movie were stuntmen. A lot of the other gangs were stuntmen, like the Baseball Furies. The lead gang in that was a stuntman. The Punks, the lead guy in that was a stunt. There were stuntmen in the movie, stuntmen who were hired to play the parts because, well, you guys are going to be doing the stunts anyway, so why don't you just play the parts? Half the time they didn't have any. I mean, I don't think the Punks or the Baseball Furies had any lines, you know. And the Orphans did, but the Orphans didn't have to fight. They just ran away. If you know the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you didn't see the movie yet, see it because it's really a great film. I mean, let me just say, I think it's a fantastic film. Out of 1 to 10, sheer entertainment value, geez, 8.5. I mean, really, sheer entertainment value is just off the charts. It's fucking great. Action it's not, you know, it's not like now, it's because it's not unrealistic. It's realistic. Every fight scene in that is you could see happening. Every scene of them running, you could see happening. Everything you could see happening. So for that one, it's very realistic, and it shows, you know, how bad New York City was in the 70s. But of course, like I said, it wasn't that bad. But it kind of did show, you know, hairstyles of the 1970s. But like I said, I like to think of this movie like it's in a future. It's in the future. They're not going to say what year it is. It's in the future. And it's just before the apocalypse. It's probably during now when things are fucking up. And you don't know what's going on. And shortly now after, there's going to be an apocalypse. And if there was a Warriors 2, I like to think it was after the apocalypse. This is like Mad Max. Mad Max was pre-apocalypse. And the Road Warrior, Mad Max Part 2, was post-apocalypse. I like to think that the Warriors is pre-apocalypse, right before the apocalypse, and the Warriors 2 would be post-apocalyptic, and it would be Swan running around with that girl who, you know, actually became his girlfriend, let's say in real life, and him and her survived the apocalypse, and they're driving around in a car like that crazy guy, the Knight Rider, or whatever the hell he calls himself, you know, and then he got killed by Mad Max in the first Mad Max. Like that guy and his girlfriend. I have to think about Swan doing that. And then he meets up with Ajax, who runs like a colony. And he's like, Swan, you become a bottom feeder. You know, it would be like that. I think that would be a great Warriors 2 theme right there, is that it's post-apocalyptic now, and And after the apocalypse, there's only gangs because they're the only ones tough enough to stay alive, you know. And it's almost like the gangs of New York City lived, a lot of them, and you see those gangs are still around the post-apocalyptic world, you know. I think that would be really cool. If you want to take that, you could pay me a little sum, and you can have that idea. I'll let you have it for a little sum. If I could be maybe part of the screenwriting, I would like that. Maybe you want me in a cameo. What the fuck am I talking about? Are you crazy, JP? They're not gonna fucking pay you for shit. You're an idiot. Yeah, I know exactly. But anyway, this film is really good. You should definitely see it without a doubt. And I just, again, I just love that, these guys are doing, Comic Con and talking about, and one of the guys, the guy I always thought was an Italian guy, I don't know what, he hasn't done anything acting wise, but he's always at these Comic Con events, at these events in Coney Island. And he said, well, the biggest pain in the ass about making a movie for me was waking up at 6 o'clock at night and having lunch at like 2 o'clock in the morning because we had to work all night. And it was filmed that night. The whole film except for the last scene in Coney Island, which is in the sun, everything's filmed at night. So all them going on the subway, everything was filmed at night, them running the streets. So I think it was filmed on like vacant streets in New York City. It wasn't a huge budget film, you know. So Walter Hill, the director, who later on got bigger budgets to do things like 48 Hours, you know, and other films. Walter Hill was great. He made a lot of great films, and it started like this is one of his first ones, and it's such a low budget, but it made its money back tenfold, or 20-fold, 100-fold, you know, and especially now. But it's good watching the stars talk about how, and one guy on the movie, he was fired from the movie halfway through it, and he was supposed to live, and then suddenly he gets drone. You probably know if you see the film, he gets drone in front of the train, and the train runs him over, you know, and it's almost like they just, I think they said they filmed a stuntman doing that, and they just said, okay, you're gone, and they fired him, but they took, his parts, and then asked him later on, how do you want your name to be billed? And he said, I don't want to be in the credits. So his name is nowhere in the credits, and after that, he started in John Carpenter's The Thing. If you saw The Thing, he's in that. So he was kind of an up-and-comer, and he even admits now, and it's great to hear him admitting that he was wrong. He was young, he was dumb, he was stupid. He was arguing with people, and they said he was fired, but he doesn't blame the director at all. And, he says, I got no hard feelings to the director. The director was, what the hell, was actually smart for firing me. But he did go on to do The Thing after that, John Carpenter, and as far as I know, he was in fight. He was killed off of that too, obviously, because everybody died except, well, everybody died. Even at the end, everybody died. So anyway, that's my review of the movie, and you got to see it. I mean, I saw it when I was young, and I even saw it, like I said, a few days ago I saw it, and I haven't seen it in years, and I saw it, and I just. Again, I still love it. I still think it's a great film. Michael Beck, who plays Swan, has kind of this tough Andy Gibb look to him. Couldn't even smile, because when he smiles, he looks more like Andy Gibb. And in this, he was like a good-looking, tough guy. But who stole it for me, who was really great, was James Remar as Ajax. He was just great because he was so politically correct. He was using words I can't say, but it was great to hear it, like just him say it and go, whoa, and I was even going, whoa, hey, and I remember this 1978, it was filmed 1979, so that stuff, and especially me as a kid, I used that. Me and my friends were using that when we were like fucking born. That was coming out of our mouths, The first word I said was probably a word you can't use, That's how much we used politically incorrect language back then. So when he was saying it, and he just played the resident badass, If anybody in the gang is like level-headed, he wasn't. He was just off the rails, and when I have to say too, when he stopped acting in the movie, when he was booted from the movie, he was caught by an undercover cop. Spoiler alert! I know, right? If you haven't seen it, see it. Goddamn, please. But you probably already seen it already. I'm just giving you my opinion of it, and you probably have your own opinions. Maybe you go listen to mine and say, "Hey, he's got some sense there." But after James Remar was out of the movie, it did lose a little of its luster. It was here, and then Remar left, and it went a little. It was still great, but it was like I think when he left, you know, I would have liked him to have at least hang on till almost the end. I could understand him getting like killed or something because he was doing something stupid. Or the cops catching him like they did, but later in the film because it was only halfway through the film, and it was I don't know, but he was probably the toughest badass in the movie, and but he wasn't the leader type. So, but and I love and I'm reading about the movie, and it's saying what does it say about the movie? It's great when we talk about the plot. Okay, uh, okay. What is it? The Warriors. Yeah. Uh, it says the Warriors, a modest multi-racial gang. Is that really how you would describe them? And May says, "Hey, what do you think about the Warriors? They were a modest multiracial gang." It's like one of those. And the great thing about the movie was it was 1978, 1979, like I said, and there was two black guys in there, a Hispanic. Or was there two black guys, one black Hispanic mix, and one Hispanic, and that one Hispanic I think was gay in real life, and there was an Irish guy. The cowboy was Irish, and there was these other Italian guy. I mean, does it really matter? I don't know if there was a Jewish guy in the in the group. I don't know. Maybe the Italian guy was actually Jewish. I don't know. But what my point is, does it really fucking? And they didn't make a deal about it in the movie. And it's kind of like how race relations was already on the men back then. I mean, nobody even thought about anything. I remember seeing that movie and not going, "Oh, they're multiracial." I fucking didn't say that. I was like 13. I didn't even care. It was like, these guys are cool. These guys are tough, man. These guys are badass. These guys are the warriors. And I wanted to get a vest like them. Anyway, again, it's just was this Wikipedia page updated to be politically correct? A modest multiracial group gang, as opposed to all those other those other gangs that just have white Aryans in it or something, or African Americans, or like the jail gangs, the Aryans over here, the Brotherhood of Islam, the Nation of Islam dudes over here, the Hispanics over here, even when in Hispanics you got the Asian Oriental gang over here, what, you want a Vietnamese to enter the Chinese gang, even then you'd have problems, right? Anyway, not to get off the track, just saying how fucking stupid it is. It's just a great film, and you're fucking up my childhood here. Okay? Whenever someone's mentioning films that I grew up on, I'm like, that's my childhood, motherfucker. Fuck you. You have no right to mess with my childhood. Just let it be. It's a great movie. Listen to me. Don't listen to what it says on Wikipedia. Listen to me. Go watch the film. You'll thank me for it. If you do, write some comments below and say, "Hey, man, you were right. This is a fantastic movie." And if you haven't seen it yet, why not? And yeah, and that's what I got to say about one of the best films of my child. I mean, like I said, 8.5 out of 10. Great film. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. And anyway, until the next time, JP Alexander for the Dogs Unleashed. And again, until the next time, ciao.